Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. The story takes place in Concord, which is in Massachusetts, and it is 1860 the year. And just before, a few days before the Christmas, the four March girls, that is Meg, who is 16 years old and is very motherly by nature, and the boy is Joe, who is 15 years old, and the frail but very pious Beth, who is age 13 years, and a very elegant Amy, age 12. They are all living alone with their mother, Mrs. March. And why they are alone is their father, Mr. March, has joined as a chaplain in the Union Army to do service, and therefore he has left his wife and his daughters to take care of themselves in his absence. Though they are poor, they are very rich in their spirit, and they follow all the Christian morals sincerely, and they are united by their bonds. And on Christmas morning, the girls find that they have received a copy of Pilgrim's Progress, and each of them have one book, so they decide to read it. Now, Pilgrim's Progress is an allegorical novel, and it teaches about the Christian morals. And therefore, they decide to put all the morals, what they are going to learn from that book, in practice. At the same time, they go for a dance which is thrown by a local rich man called Mr. Lawrence, who is their neighbor. And they, Meg and Joe, meet Laurie, who is Mr. Lawrence's grandson. And after coming back, they all keep talking about Laurie in their house. And old Mr. Lawrence also becomes like their surrogate grandfather. And Laurie has a tutor named Mr. Brooke. And they are also speaking about Mr. Brooke in their house. And it is also said that Mr. Brooke shows a liking for Meg. And the girls are reading the Pilgrim's Progress, but they put into a number of trials, like Meg burns off a lock of her hair, and Amy is discovered stacking a lot of pickled limes in her desk, and therefore she is beaten in front of her classmates at school. And Joe, who is angry, carelessly allows Amy to fall into an icy river. And by the end of the year, they come to know that their father has fallen ill, and therefore Mrs. March has to go to Washington, D.C. Mr. Brooke offers to accompany her so that he can take care of Mr. March there. And now, when Mrs. March is away, Beth gets scarlet fever and she becomes so sick that the March girls and their servant Hannah have a fear whether she will live or not, because she has become so weak. Already she is a very weak girl. And because of this sickness, Mrs. March returns from Washington, and now everyone is relieved because mother has come. And on Christmas, Laurie surprises Mrs. March and her daughters with the news that Mr. March is going to come back home early. And Mr. March surveys his daughters and is so very happy that their moral growth in his absence is really to the greatest extent, which has made him very happy. And at that time, Mr. Brooke speaks with Meg and asks her to marry him, and she accepts. And this news is happy news to the whole family, but she asks him to wait for 3 years to get married. Joe is not very happy at the prospect of her marrying, because she would like her daughter, her sister, to remain at home. But all others are so very happy, and then finally Meg marries Mr. Brooke, and it's a very simple affair. The marriage takes place in the home itself, and they begin their new life at their modest home, the Dovecote. And she gives birth to twins, Daisy and Demi. Joe, who is very much interested in writing, writes a lot of stories and poems and sells it to a local newspaper. And the money which she receives for her publication helps her to send Beth and her mother, Mrs. March, on a holiday. Amy is a very elegant person and good-mannered person, so her Aunt Carol is very much impressed with her. And when Aunt Carol is going for a trip to Europe, she asks Amy to come along with her. So Amy goes for a trip to Europe. Joe also decides to go to New York for winter because she wants to get away from Laurie, who shows a lot of interest on Joe. And there in New York, she works as a governess in a boarding house. And in that place, she meets a German professor, Frederick Bayer, who is a kind-hearted person. Then Joe returns from New York, and here Laurie, who is waiting for her, asks her to marry him. But Joe tells no, and therefore Laurie is devastated. And Mr. Lawrence then takes a trip to Europe, And Laurie soon runs into Amy. And at the same time, Beth becomes very sick, and so Joe takes her on one last holiday to the seashore, and Beth dies. And the words of Beth's death reaches Amy, and she is so very depressed. And at that time, Laurie is there, and his friendship only gives her some comfort. And Laurie also realizes that Amy is his true love, and the two of them fall in love and they elope, and they come back home only on the night before Joe's 25th birthday. And that same night, Professor Bear makes a surprise visit and proposes to Joe, and Joe also accepts his proposal. And 5 years pass, and Joe and Bear are married, and they have two boys, and they also inherit Aunt March's house when she dies. And Joe and Bear turn the house into a school called Plumfield. Finally, Mrs. March celebrates her 60th birthday, and the entire family gathers in the apple orchard. And they all are so very happy because they feel that they are all blessed to have each other. And Mrs. March also says that there is no greater happiness than to experience the love she has for her family, and the story ends here. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.